November 29, 1981. Natalie Wood drowned off the coast of Catalina Island under mysterious circumstances. She was 43 years old at the peak of her comeback and terrified of water. The official story never made sense. The witnesses changed their testimonies, and Hollywood closed ranks to protect the powerful men who were with her that night. This is the story of how Tinseltown betrayed one of its brightest stars. Chapter 1. The child star who never escaped. Natalie Wood was born Natalia Nikolaevna Zakharenko in 1938 to Russian immigrant parents in San Francisco. Her mother Maria was obsessed with making her daughter a star, not for Natalie's sake, but to escape poverty and live vicariously through her child's success. By age 4, Natalie was in films. By 8, she'd co-starred with Orson Welles. By 9, she was famous for Miracle on 34th Street. She never had a childhood, just endless auditions, studio sessions, and her mother's relentless ambition pushing her forward. Maria Wood was a classic stage mother, but darker. She told Natalie that a fortune teller had predicted she'd die by drowning in dark water. She used this prophecy to control her daughter, instilling a lifelong terror of water. Natalie would have panic attacks near oceans, refused to learn to swim, and avoided boats whenever possible. This fear would define her life and, tragically, her death. As Natalie grew into her teenage years, she successfully transitioned from child star to serious actress. Rebel Without a Cause in 1955 made her a sensation at 17. West Side Story in 1961 proved she could carry a musical. Splendor in the Grass the same year showed her dramatic range. But behind the success was a young woman controlled by her mother, exploited by the studio system, and struggling to find her own identity in an industry that saw her as property. Chapter 2. The Rape Nobody Talked About in 2012. 3 decades after her death, Natalie Wood's biography revealed something Hollywood had kept secret for 50 years. When Natalie was a teenager, sources suggest around age 16, she was raped by a famous actor more than twice her age. The biography didn't name the attacker, but Natalie had told friends, family, and her psychiatrist about it throughout her life. She described how the actor had invited her to a business meeting at a hotel, then assaulted her. When she tried to report it, her mother told her to keep quiet. The studio threatened to destroy her career if she went public, so Natalie stayed silent. She continued working in Hollywood, sometimes on the same sets as her rapist. She had to smile at industry events where he was present. She watched him win awards, get celebrated, and live consequence-free while she carried the trauma. This is how Hollywood worked in the 1950s, and for decades after. Powerful men could assault young actresses with impunity. Studios protected the abusers, victims were silenced with threats and legal contracts, and everyone pretended nothing had happened. Natalie tried to cope. She went to therapy. She threw herself into work. She married young, first to Robert Wagner at 20, then to Richard Gregson after that marriage failed. She was searching for safety, stability, someone who'd protect her, but the trauma never left. Chapter 3. The Marriages That Couldn't Save Her. Natalie Wood married Robert Wagner in 1957. She was 19. Wagner was 27, handsome, and ambitious. On the surface, they were Hollywood's perfect couple. Young, beautiful, successful. Behind closed doors, the marriage was troubled from the start. Wagner was jealous of Natalie's success. She was the bigger star, earning more money, getting better roles. He wanted a traditional wife who'd support his career. She wanted a partner who'd support hers. The incompatibility was obvious to everyone except them. Robert Wagner wasn't happy about the comeback. He'd gotten comfortable with Natalie being less prominent, more focused on family. Her return to major films meant long separations, media attention, and the spotlight shifting back to her instead of him. There was also the Christopher Walken factor. Walken was talented, intense, and charismatic. On set, he and Natalie developed a close working relationship. Long conversations between takes, dinners to discuss scenes, the kind of intense collaboration that great actors need to do their best work. Wagner became jealous. He started showing up on set unannounced. He questioned Natalie about her relationship with Walken. She told him it was professional, nothing more. But Wagner didn't believe her, or didn't want to believe her. Chapter 5. The Thanksgiving Weekend That Changed Everything. Thanksgiving Weekend 1981. Natalie, Robert Wagner, and Christopher Walken decided to take a break from filming Brainstorm. They'd spend the weekend on Wagner's yacht, the Splendor, sailing to Catalina Island. The boat's captain, Dennis Davern, would handle the sailing. It should have been a relaxing weekend. Instead, it became a nightmare. On Friday night, the group had dinner at a restaurant on Catalina. Wagner and Walken argued. Witnesses said it was about Natalie's career, her commitment to the film, and Wagner's jealousy. The argument continued back on the yacht. Saturday was tense. Everyone was drinking heavily. The yacht felt claustrophobic. Natalie tried to keep the peace, but the tension between Wagner and Walken was obvious. On Sunday night, November 29th, everything fell apart. Wagner and Walken argued again, this time more intensely. Natalie tried to intervene. At some point around 11 p.m., she disappeared from the yacht. At 1:30 a.m., Wagner called the Coast Guard. Natalie was missing. Her body was found the next morning, floating a mile from the yacht, wearing a nightgown, socks, and a down jacket. She drowned. Chapter 6. The official story that never made sense. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department investigated. Their conclusion: accidental drowning. Natalie had tried to secure a dinghy that was banging against the yacht. She slipped, fell into the water, and couldn't get out because her heavy jacket absorbed water and pulled her down. Case closed. Except nothing about that story made sense. Natalie was terrified of water. She avoided boats. She wouldn't go near the edge of a yacht at night in the dark while drunk. And even if she had, why was she wearing a nightgown and socks? Why the heavy jacket? The coroner found bruises on Natalie's body, on her arms, legs, and face. Fresh bruises, sustained before she went into the water. The medical examiner noted them, but didn't investigate how they'd gotten there. Dennis Davern, the boat captain, gave a statement supporting Wagner's version of events. So did Wagner and Walken. The three men's stories aligned. Natalie went to bed. They heard a noise. They discovered she was missing. They called for help. But Davern later admitted he'd been pressured to lie. The real story was different, much different. And Hollywood's most powerful lawyers and publicists made sure that real story stayed buried. Chapter 7. The witnesses who changed their stories in 1992. 11 years after Natalie's death, Dennis Davern started changing his story. He told a television show that there had been a violent argument on the yacht that night, that Wagner and Natalie had fought, that he'd heard crashing sounds, shouting, and then silence. He said Wagner had prevented him from turning on the yacht's searchlights or calling for help immediately, that Wagner had insisted they wait, saying Natalie was probably on the island. That precious time was lost, time when Natalie might have been saved. They divorced in 1962 after 5 years of marriage. Natalie later told friends that Wagner had been controlling and emotionally distant. She married British producer Richard Gregson in 1969, had a daughter, and seemed happy. But that marriage ended too when she discovered Gregson was having an affair. In 1972, Natalie remarried Robert Wagner. Why go back to a marriage that had already failed? Friends said she was tired of searching for something better. Wagner had matured. They had history. Maybe this time it would work, but the second marriage had problems too. Wagner's career had stalled while Natalie's was resurging. She was being offered major roles again. He was doing television. The jealousy that had poisoned their first marriage was still there, festering beneath the surface. By 1981, friends said the marriage was in trouble again. Natalie had confided to her psychiatrist that she was considering divorce. She'd told her sister that she felt trapped. She was 43 years old and wondering if she'd wasted her life trying to make broken relationships work. Chapter 4. The comeback that threatened them. By the late 1970s, Natalie Wood had stepped back from acting to focus on her children. But in 1981, she made a decision that would change everything. She was coming back, and not for small roles or television movies. She wanted to reclaim her position as a major film star. She was cast in Brainstorm alongside Christopher Walken, a respected actor at the peak of his career. The film required intense work, long hours, complex scenes, a performance that would remind Hollywood why Natalie Wood had been a star in the first place. Because if she stops, then Hollywood wins, and Natalie will forever be remembered as a tragic accident instead of a possible victim. Chapter 10. The truth we'll never know. More than 40 years after Natalie Wood died, we still don't know what really happened on the Splendor that night. The evidence suggests something violent occurred. The changed testimonies indicate a cover-up, but without cooperation from the surviving witnesses, the truth remains elusive. Robert Wagner has never spoken publicly in detail about that night. Christopher Walken has said very little beyond his original statement. Dennis Davern has changed his story multiple times, making him an unreliable witness despite claiming to want the truth. What we do know is this. Natalie Wood was afraid of water. She was wearing a nightgown, socks, and a heavy jacket. She had fresh bruises on her body. She was a mile from the yacht when her body was found, and the men who were with her that night have never fully explained what happened. Hollywood chose to accept the simplest explanation, tragic accident, rather than investigate deeper. Because investigating deeper would have meant acknowledging that a beloved actress might have been the victim of violence, that powerful men might have been responsible, that the industry protects its own at the expense of justice. This is how Hollywood betrayed Natalie Wood, by choosing silence over truth, by protecting reputations over finding answers, by deciding that maintaining the image of a tragic accident was better than exposing an ugly reality. In 2018, Robert Wagner was officially named a person of interest in Natalie Wood's death investigation. Not a suspect, just someone investigators wanted to interview. Wagner, through his lawyers, declined to speak with them. Why would an innocent man refuse to help solve the mystery of his wife's death? Wagner's lawyers claim he's already given multiple statements over the years and has nothing more to add. DeVerne claimed he'd been paid to stay silent, that lawyers had threatened him, that he'd been young, scared, and intimidated by Wagner's Hollywood power. But guilt had been eating at him for years. He needed to tell the truth. Wagner denied everything. He called DeVerne a liar trying to profit from tragedy. He pointed out that DeVerne had waited over a decade to change his story. Why would anyone believe him now? But other witnesses started coming forward too. People on nearby boats that night who'd heard a woman screaming for help. Shore residents who'd heard arguments carrying across the water. A restaurant manager who'd witnessed the tension during Friday's dinner. The case was reopened in 2011. The coroner changed Natalie's cause of death from accidental drowning to drowning and other undetermined factors. The bruises on her body were now considered suspicious. The investigation was active again, but no charges were ever filed, and Robert Wagner refused to speak with investigators. Chapter 8. Why Hollywood stayed silent when Natalie Wood died. Hollywood immediately closed ranks. No one questioned the official story. No one demanded a thorough investigation. The industry protected Robert Wagner and Christopher Walken, and by extension, protected itself. Why? Because a serious investigation would have exposed uncomfortable truths about power dynamics on film sets, about violence in celebrity marriages, about the industry's habit of protecting powerful men at the expense of vulnerable women. Wagner was a successful television star. Walken was a rising talent. Both had careers that would be destroyed if the truth about that night became public. So studios, publicists, and lawyers worked together to control the narrative. Natalie couldn't defend herself. She was dead. And dead women don't contradict official stories. But legal challenges from Wagner's legal team have delayed its release. They claim it's defamatory based on unreliable testimony from a man suffering from dementia. The truth about what happened to Natalie Wood that night may be in that interview, or it may be locked in the minds of the two surviving witnesses who refused to speak. Or it may have been buried so deep that we'll never know. But here's what we do know. Hollywood had a choice in November 1981. They could investigate thoroughly and risk exposing uncomfortable truths about power, violence, and celebrity. Or they could accept a simple explanation and move on. They chose to move on. They chose to protect powerful men over finding justice for a dead woman. They chose silence over truth. That's how Hollywood betrayed Natalie Wood. Not in how she died, though the evidence suggests someone on that yacht knows more than they'd ever admitted, but in how they responded to her death, by closing ranks, by protecting their own, by deciding that Natalie's life was worth less than preserving the industry's image. 43 years later, Natalie Wood is still waiting for justice, and Hollywood is still protecting the secrets of that night. The truth is out there, locked behind non-disclosure agreements, sealed in legal files, hidden in the memories of men who've chosen silence over. Someday, that truth might emerge, when everyone involved is dead, when it no longer matters to careers or reputations. But by then, it will be too late for Natalie, too late for her sister, too late for justice. And Hollywood will have won again, just like they always do, by outlasting the truth until nobody remembers to ask questions anymore. The media helped too. Coverage of Natalie's death focused on the tragic accident angle. Beautiful actress, afraid of water, drowns near her yacht. It was poetic, almost romantic. Nobody wanted to dig deeper and discover something ugly beneath the surface. Friends who tried to question the official story were dismissed as conspiracy theorists or attention seekers. Natalie's family was told to move on, to grieve privately, to stop making things difficult for everyone. This is how Hollywood betrayed Natalie Wood, not by killing her, though the evidence suggests someone on that yacht knows more than they've admitted, but by choosing to protect her husband's reputation over finding out what really happened to her. Chapter 9. The sister who never stopped fighting Natalie's younger sister. Lana Wood never believed the official story. For 4 decades, she's fought for the truth. She's written books, given interviews, demanded the case stay open, pushed investigators to question Wagner. She believes her sister was murdered, or at the very least, that someone on the yacht was responsible for her death and covered it up. She's pointed to the bruises, the changed testimonies, Wagner's refusal to cooperate with investigators. But Lana has been largely ignored by Hollywood. She's been dismissed as a grieving sister who can't accept a tragic accident. Her book about Natalie sold well but didn't change minds in the industry. The powerful men who'd rather keep the truth buried are still more powerful than one woman demanding justice. In recent years, Lana has found some vindication, the case reopening in 2011, the coroner changing the cause of death, new witnesses coming forward, but still, no justice, no charges, no trial. Just questions that will likely never be answered. Lana Wood is in her 70s now. She spent most of her adult life fighting for her sister. She knows she may never get the truth, but she refuses to stop trying. Critics say an innocent person would do everything possible to help find the truth. But there's something else, something that's never been made public until recently. In 2020, a retired forensic investigator who'd worked on the original 1981 case came forward with a revelation. He'd been ordered by superiors to go easy on the investigation, to accept the accident explanation, to not push Wagner or Walken too hard. When he asked why, he was told, "These are important people. We don't want to ruin careers over an accident." The investigator, now in his 80s and facing his own mortality, decided to speak up. He believes the case was compromised from the beginning. He also revealed something else. There was evidence collected that night that was never logged. Photographs that went missing. Witness statements that weren't included in the official report. Someone with power had interfered with the investigation at the highest levels. Who had that kind of power? Who could make evidence disappear and witnesses stay silent? The investigator suggested it went beyond Wagner or Walken, that studio executives, lawyers, and possibly even law enforcement officials had worked together to bury the truth. Why? Because Natalie Wood's death wasn't just about one woman drowning. It was about what her death would expose if investigated properly, about violence in Hollywood marriages, about the culture of silence around powerful men, about how the industry protected itself by sacrificing its victims. The investigator died in 2021. Before he died, he gave an interview to a documentary filmmaker. In it, he said, "I've carried this guilt for 40 years. I know we didn't do our job that night. We let Natalie Wood down. We let her family down. We let justice down because we were told to protect Hollywood instead of protecting her. And I'll die knowing I was part of that betrayal." That interview exists. The documentary is supposedly in post-production.